Are you sweet on anyone who has a real sweet tooth? Well, I sure am. So on today's show, I share jazzed up versions of some of my favorite culinary confections. Then we'll visit the ambassador of the Great American Songbook, Michael Feinstein, to find out what sweet treats he likes to eat. So please join me as I prepare sweets for the sweet.
Jazzy, you're gonna be healthy with the Jazzy Vegetarian. Jazzy, so snazzy. We're gonna cook something healthy and light. Jazzy, so snazzy.
So join me in the kitchen right now.
We're gonna cook something healthy and light. That's right.
Today's show highlights my jazzy-licious assortments of sweet treats to serve anytime you crave a rich dessert. First up, peanut butter mousse tartlets add a bit of whimsy to this lineup of scrumptious, sugary confections. Then, quick and easy chocolate candy clusters will please even the most hardcore candy lover. Last but not least, I'll share my surprise twist on the classic apple turnover. So stick around for some sweet culinary bliss. Peanut butter mousse tartlets. Oh, they're so dainty and sweet. First of all, we have to make the crust for our tartlets, and it's really easy to do. I'm starting off with a half a cup of unsalted raw sunflower seeds, and then I have 12 large dates, which I have pitted. I'm just gonna break them up right into my blender. Make sure you take the pits out. Here's a little tip. When you're pitting dates, what I like to do as I take the pits out, I line them up and then I count them and make sure I have the same amount of pits that I have dates. That way you're not going to end up with any pits in something you're making. So that's a great jazzy tip. So just turn it on. So that looks just perfect. But this is kind of the consistency you want to come up with. See, and that comes up into a nice, dense dough, which is what we want for these little tartlets. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna divide this into 12 pieces. Doesn't have to be perfect. A little more, a little less. It's perfectly fine. And we're gonna use a mini muffin tin as our guide and make little tartlet cups for our peanut butter mousse. We're going to make the peanut butter mousse in just a minute. But we want to make these first so they kind of have a chance to set up. Just going to mold them in the cup. There's the first one done. But I am going to align my pretty birdie platter with some parchment paper so it doesn't get all messed up as I'm making my little tartlet cups. Nice piece of paper on there. That'll be perfect. And you know what else? I'm gonna grab a pastry brush because I think I'm gonna put a little oil in my muffin tin. So what we're doing is we're making these little tartlets. I'll make a few at a time. You're just gonna flatten them out like this with your hands. And then you're just gonna press them right into your oiled mini muffin pan. You don't have to oil them, it's just easier to get the little tartlet cups out. This is so easy to do and something that you can get the kids or the grandkids involved with doing. It's nice and sticky and gooey. It's fun to play with. Just roll it into a ball. Now just flatten it out. All right, just put it in there. Once again, you're just using your mini muffin tins as a guide. So you just use an offset spatula and pick your little tartlet cups right out of there. Just set them on your platter. But once you put these in the refrigerator, they're gonna firm up so beautifully. Oh yeah. They're like little peanut butter mousse baskets. One more, good measure. There they are. My little tartlet cups for my peanut butter mousse tartlets. So let's get to our filling. But first, I gotta wash my hands. Let's get to the second half of this recipe. Just wanna tidy up my workspace a little bit. Set my mini muffin tin aside. And how are we going to make our peanut butter mousse? I've made mousse on this show many times before. Usually it's a chocolate mousse. I do like to use the base of tofu.
Let's talk tofu now.
When I'm not cooking, I love to check my social media and my emails and answer a few questions. Let me see what I have here today. Oh, this is a great one from Tina. I bought cubed tofu. Am I supposed to squeeze out all the liquid of each one of those tiny cubes? How am I supposed to do that without squishing them? Tina, that's a fantastic question. You know, I always talk about draining tofu, but yes, that's one time when you're actually not going to drain the tofu by pressing it down. If you are using cubed tofu in a recipe to save time, what you want to do is place it into a large, small screened colander, place that over a bowl, pour your cubed tofu into there, just shake it a little bit and let the extra water drain out. Then it's ready to use in your recipe. So thanks for asking, Tina.
Let's talk tofu now.
So what we're going to do is add 2/3 of a cup of organic firm tofu. I have the sprouted variety here today. Some people say that they can digest the sprouted variety of tofu a little bit better. And then I've got 4 tablespoons of smooth peanut butter. Non-hydrogenated peanut butter is what you want to use for this. Yum, oh, yum, oh, yum. Then 4 tablespoons of maple syrup. That's going to add a lot of nice sweet to this peanut butter mousse. And we're just going to blend that all together. Alrighty. That seems like it's going to be pretty good. So that's what it should look like. Nice and smooth and creamy, like a mousse. I do like to use a little pastry bag to make it extra festive. You can certainly just spoon it in by hand if you like, but I'm going festive today, so let's do it this way. Spoon, get that fabulous mousse right into my pastry bag. Every last little bit.
I want some peanut butter mousse tartlets. I'm just gonna take some maple syrup, yeah, and some tofu. Of course I want some peanut butter too. I'm gonna add them all
Aren't
together.
they beautiful? And just to finish them all off, I put one little vegan chocolate chip right on the top of each pretty little peanut butter mousse tartlet. You know, we've talked before how you really do eat with your eyes before you taste anything, especially when you're cooking plant-based desserts like this. Perhaps you've got some family or friends that aren't accustomed to eating plant-based and they think, oh my gosh, it's just not going to taste good. Well, the first thing to do to entice them to your home, entice them to your table, entice them to taste the beautiful culinary confections that you're creating in your kitchen is to make it look pretty. Alrighty now, I'm gonna get these into the refrigerator. They're gonna stay in there for a good 5 to 6 hours before I serve them. And up next, my chocolate candy clusters come together in a snap. Chocolate candy clusters, why am I happy? I'm making some candy. It's gonna be quick, it's gonna be sweet. I'm starting off with 1 cup of vegan cluster-style ready-to-eat cereal. I've got my makeshift double boiler going here, and all that is a nice medium-sized pot with a little bit of water in it. I've got it simmering, and I've got a glass bowl over it. You can also use a stainless steel bowl. I'm just gonna pour in 5 heaping tablespoons of dark vegan chocolate chips, and we're going to let them melt. It's gonna melt out pretty quickly. It's a perfect dessert if you decide to make dessert at the last minute. Perfect after-school snack. Pretty healthy treat, too, because that's cereal in there. Look how quickly that's melting up. Never leave a double boiler unattended, no matter what you're making in it, because that's hot water under there. All right, you're going to turn your burner off. Do make sure you use a pot holder. And just put that beautiful melted chocolate right into your cluster cereal or your granola. And you're just gonna stir it all around. Just get your cluster-style cereal completely covered with your chocolate. And what I have done is I have lined out a baking sheet with some unbleached parchment paper, and you're just gonna start scooping out your clusters. That's the whole deal. First time I made these, I think it was after dinner one night, and my husband said, "What's for dessert?" And I think I've told you before, I don't eat dessert every day. Sometimes I'll just have some plain cereal with non-dairy milk for dessert. But on that particular night, he felt like having dessert, and I did too. So I just whipped these up in a flash. Whatever shape they end up on the parchment paper, that's the shape they're gonna be when they set up in about 30 minutes time. Recently, I was thrilled to visit Michael Feinstein to hear what he likes to eat when he craves a sweet vegan treat. Thank you so much for joining us today.
It's my great pleasure. Thank you, Laura.
We've got so many great things going on. First, you've got the 3rd season of Michael Feinstein's American Songbook on PBS. Tell us a little bit about that.
It's a show that is about my personal obsession of collecting and preserving what we now call the Great American Songbook. And I do travel all over the place looking for artifacts from music and recordings and just trying to preserve in whatever form it exists this extraordinary contribution to American culture. A lot of people have contacted me with collections of music or records or other things. Now I can help them to preserve them.
Now, when you are looking for a sweet treat, what's something that you might go for?
I normally eat fruit, but sometimes I get tired of fruit because our palates, after a while, they say, "Oh, not that again." So I'll sometimes go to the dried fruits because they're a little bit sweeter. I have found vegan chocolate, which can be very satisfying. Sometimes, if I want something a little heartier, I'll have a little bit of whole grain cereal. The other thing that I have found is the raw oatmeal with date to sweeten it. And there's also this chia seed pudding that I've discovered that I love because it's incredibly healthy and it satisfies the sweet tooth.
It really does. As you can see, I've made you some fabulous date truffles here today. It's dates, it's raisins, raw sunflower seeds, and dried, unsweetened, organic coconut. Take a little taste.
That's fantastic.
So happy.
Great, because the dates and the raisins and the coconut are all like different keys in a chord. It's really fantastic. I love it.
Thank you.
Thank
I'm
you.
so happy. Thank you. Michael Feinstein's date truffles. Oh, yeah. I think being creative in the kitchen is part of having fun, part of making great food. So if you ever see something I'm making on this show and you say, "Oh, I think I'd like to add a little bit of this or a little bit of that," or "I don't like that ingredient," or "I can't have it," just change it up how you want it. So what I'm saying, whatever kind of vegan cereal your family likes to eat, just use that in this recipe. It's going to be absolutely perfect. Now, if you want, at this point, you can put a little coconut on them to make them a little bit more festive. But I happen to have some unsweetened, dried, shredded coconut. I'm just gonna sprinkle a little bit over the top of half of my candy clusters. And I'm gonna put them into the refrigerator for about 30 minutes. Alternately, you can put them in the freezer for 10 to 20 minutes. They'll set up pretty quickly. But do store them in the refrigerator if you have any left over, which I really doubt you will. I know I'm not going to tonight. The crew's gonna eat these in about 5 minutes once they come out. So that's it, my chocolate candy clusters. You know how I love apples? I'm gonna make my apple turnovers, so stick around for that. One day, a little while ago, I decided I wanted apple turnovers. I didn't feel like making dough, and I had some 6-inch whole wheat tortillas in the refrigerator. And I thought, maybe that could be the dough for my apple turnovers. I thought, nah, that's a pretty kooky, crazy idea. But it works just fabulously. Makes great, fresh apple turnovers. You can pop them in the oven right before you have dinner, bring them out hot, and serve them for dessert. Absolutely fabulous. So what I'm gonna do is start off with an apple. This is a Granny Smith apple that I have here today, and I am going to peel it first. And I'm just going to core the apple. And we do want to chop the apples very finely. Really almost a dice is what you're looking for with this. That's pretty good. You do want them nice and small. So what am I going to spice them up with? I'm going to add about 2 teaspoons of maple syrup. That's all you need. 1, 2, and a little bit of cinnamon. Just a 1/4 teaspoon of ground cinnamon. That's going to spice it up really, really nice. And you're just going to toss it all together. That's going to be the stuffing for our fabulous apple turnovers. Now, I know it doesn't look like much, but boy, it smells fantastic. That cinnamon, that maple syrup, the fresh apples. I just love it. Now, I take a dinner plate. I'm going to grab one of these tortillas. The 6-inch ones are really handy for this. You could buy the larger ones and cut them down if you want, but you do want to make sure they're very, very fresh. You're going to see why. What you want to do is very, very lightly brush each side of your tortilla with a little bit of maple syrup. I'm going to use about 4 teaspoons of maple syrup altogether in this dessert. I know it doesn't sound like much, but a little bit of maple syrup goes a long way. Very, very easy. Then take a little spoon, just spoon a little bit of that filling right into the middle. Here's where the magic happens. I'm going to fold the tortilla in half over the apples, sealing them in there. Now that maple syrup is what's going to help that tortilla to hold together. Just press it together with your fingers, press it firmly, and then to seal it, all you're going to do is press it with a regular table fork. Press along the edges, sealing that together. We're going to check them after they cook for about 10 minutes. Sometimes the seal can break a little bit when they first get in the oven. You're just going to pull them out and press them together with your fork one more time. You know what this reminds me of? When I was a little girl, they used to have these frozen apple turnovers that I absolutely loved. My mom used to buy. Look how perfect that looks. Here's my first one done. I'd say this whole recipe takes about 20 minutes to prep and get into the oven. So if you got a small apple, you're going to make 4 apple turnovers. A large one, you're going to get 6 apple turnovers. Just take your fork and press the 2 layers together and really make a fantastic crispy crust. So pretty. It is so pretty. Once you put it on the baking sheet, give it a little extra press. One more. Now you're brushing both sides of the tortilla because one side is going to flavor the inside of your apple turnover. The other side is going to be covered in that maple syrup. That's going to take the place of an egg wash or something that might help your apple turnover to brown. Maple syrup is a great substitute for an egg wash when you're doing something like this. That is so pretty. You do want to put them in a 375-degree oven, and they're going to bake for about 20 minutes. Look at that. Well, I'm going to pop them in the oven right now, take them out in about 20 minutes, and then I'm going to sprinkle them in confectioner's sugar, and then we're going to plate up my sweets for the sweet. Sometimes you want a little sweet, but you want to have a natural snack. And of course, grapes are just the perfect thing for that. Great for the kids, great for a snack any time of day. If you're looking for a low-cal dessert, make some frozen grapes. All you do is take a bunch of grapes. I wash them very, very well, put them into a freezer bag, and freeze them for 5-6 hours overnight, and you've got an instant chilled dessert. Now, it's really elegant, too. There are fancy hotels that serve frozen grapes poolside to cool people off. So in the summertime, anytime you want a sweet treat, try a frozen grape. It's nature's candy. Sweets for the sweet. If you know anybody in your life who has a little sweet tooth, this is the perfect array of desserts for them. And look how beautiful and festive they look. My really pretty peanut butter mousse tartlets. I've had them in the refrigerator and they've firmed up. My lovely little chocolate candy clusters. Look at that. I've taken my apple turnovers out of the oven, dusted them with some vegan confectioner's sugar, and then I let them cool for about 15 minutes, and then you serve them nice and warm like I'm doing now. All right, so somebody's got to taste it. I'm the only one here. So I get to taste it now. First, I'm just going to taste a little bite of my chocolate candy clusters. Hear that crunch? That is good. Now for my beautiful little peanut butter mousse tartlets. Aren't they just so cute? That date nut crust, a little bit of sunflower seeds, juxtaposed with that peanut butter and the maple syrup, and a little chocolate candy on top. Now for my apple turnover. Let me just slice that for you. Ooh, that's beautiful. Nice and hot. Good. It gets so brown on the bottom. You got that confectioner's sugar on the top. Really, really tasty. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope the next time you're searching for the perfect sweet for your sweet, you'll share these new classic culinary confections with beloved family and friends. So until next time, be happy, be healthy, and be well. From the Jazzy Vegetarian.
Visit our website at jazzyvegetarian.com to connect with Laura, see videos, find your favorite recipes, and more. Follow Laura on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Companion cookbooks to the Jazzy Vegetarian series contain beautiful full-color photos and include recipes featured each season.
This 10th anniversary edition companion cookbook features full-color photos, menu plans, and over 120 recipes.
For more information or to order, visit jazzyvegetarian.com.
Organic love, 100% natural. Yes, it is now. Organic love. I've got no additives or no preservatives. It's real intuitive. It's downright primitive. Organic love is 100% natural. Yes, it is now.